I feel like this movie would have been so much better if at the end, Scooby and the gang ripped the mask off the Blair Witch, revealing who it was. Listen, Hollywood, I'm available for script consults.
Temp narration, take 1. Take 2. 3.
When James was 4 years old, his older sister disappeared while making a documentary near the town of Burkittsville, Maryland. The final moments of it showed her going into a house, seemingly within the Black Hills Forest. That area was extensively searched by police and FBI, but they could find no evidence of an existing house in those woods. For as long as I've been friends with James, he's wondered what happened to her. His continued search to find closure and answers to his sister's disappearance is the subject of this documentary.
Blair Witch is the canonical sequel to the original Blair Witch Project. We're all forgetting about Book of Shadows. Let's just leave it in the past. This time going back to the woods to see what other creepy things we can see. Is it worth another trip? Here's 5 things you might want to know about Blair Witch. Number 1, a big old sigh. Found footage. Man, I hate found footage. At least I hate found footage as a gimmick. Now, if anybody's got permission to do found footage, it's a Blair Witch sequel, right? Blair Witch was the one that kind of introduced us to the concept, did it so well in a time when it wasn't being done that people actually believed it was real. So yeah, do a little innovating, bring us what found footage could look like in 2016. No, you do all the gimmicks, you do all the ridiculousness, all the completely contrived camera things. Oh, we've got Bluetooth camera things in our ear now that we can use, but also don't shake when we're moving heads of actors and actresses or anything like that, and also shoot really high quality stuff. It's just all ridiculous. It takes you out of the movie, and it's one of the reasons I hate found footage, and it doesn't work here. But here's the other place that overly produced found footage movies take me out. The sound. Now, the sound design on this is beautiful. It's great. But here's the problem. It shouldn't be. Not from those cameras. They don't have Dolby 5.1. They can't do cool effects around us. And like every time I should be thinking, oh, wow, that's creepy. I'm just thinking there's no way those cameras could have picked that up. And that's a problem for the movie. Not only that, they use the sound for jump scares way too many times. Just cheap jump scare after cheap jump scare that actually has no payoff to it. You have to get a little smarter about this stuff, and this movie just doesn't. Speaking of getting smarter, it's probably my main issue with this film. It doesn't go anywhere. It doesn't have you think about anything creatively. It's all creepiness and no intellect. There's a lot of setup, but no payoff. Let's talk about story justification. There are all these things in the movie that seem to be going somewhere. Why are we finding out about this drone, for instance? How's it going to play into it? Why are we finding out about this character and this thing that's happening to them? How's that going to play into the story? But it never does. The movie never takes the time to have intellect about why it's telling you what it's telling you. Instead, it just wants to show you creepy things and creep you out a bit. Now, I actually didn't hate this movie as much as it sounded like so far. That stuff's just really frustrating and annoying to me. The movie overall does have one bright spot. I like these actors. I think this cast is really good, especially Callie Hernandez. Her performance in this is spectacular. There are moments where she pulled this movie along just by the sheer intensity of what she was doing on screen. It's a great performance and one that definitely needs mention. And here's the other thing that needs to be mentioned. I actually think horror fans might enjoy this, especially if you're into the history of the Blair Witch and what it might mean. It goes a little more into depth than that. Plus, there's some cool things with time travel and different things that it plays with that you might find interesting. All the problems I outline are there in the movie, but if you love horror films just for the creep factor and the jump scares and those kind of things, you might have a good time. If you're not a horror movie fan, I don't think you're going to enjoy this. Overall, that's pretty much the split. If you love horror films and Blair Witch, you might have a good time. If not, you probably won't. I don't think it's a great movie, but it's good enough for me to just get right above average at a C+. Thanks for checking out this Your Movie Friend review. If you want to know more about what goes on here, by the way, we'll get to the best ever challenge here in a bit, so stick around. But if you want to know more about what goes on here, you can click the info button for a look at other reviews, as well as how to support the channel. If you want to be involved with social media, you can find me. My name is Aaron Dicer, Aarondicer. If you follow me on Twitter, we do an audience choice movie every week. I review 2 movies every week on YouTube. One is one I choose. The other one is one you choose. And Blair Witch was actually the audience choice this week. So follow me on Twitter, Aarondicer. And if you do podcast, you can subscribe to SiftPop. SiftPop. It's a weekly podcast about pop culture. We have a great time, guests in, interviews, all sorts of fun stuff. All right, on to the Best Ever Challenge. This is where you name the best movie ever in a particular category. Also try to identify my choice. What is the best movie ever that features scenes in the woods? Now, this doesn't have to be a horror movie. There are plenty of movies that have scenes in the woods. For mine, it's the one that features a very creepy Johnny Depp wolf and is also not a horror movie. At least for me. You can take a guess at mine in the comments. Leave your choice there as well. And as always, here's 5 extra seconds to hit subscribe. Just hit the logo right down in this corner. Oh, and I will be handing out a point to whoever guesses mine right first. Very important point.